Good afternoon. Today's date is 3/6/153 Pacific Standard Time. Now, we have before us Baidu. And Baidu had came out with a really good earnings report just recently. But we're going to talk about the weekly and daily movements. So, on this weekly chart right here, you're going to be able to see the following. Baidu started out in January, 185.50 was the high. Then there was a nice reversal down to 148. That was a big bear move. From that very same low of 148.60 on the weekly level, that's 5 trading days, we just had broken higher to 186. Do the math. Okay, we just made a 52-week high. As far as what the complete total movement is in Baidu, 148 up to 186, 185 and a half down to same low. That low, once again, is 148. That's the weekly movement. Remember that Baidu had created a fairly decent report. I can show you the ranges today. It was up $10, so this weekly candle was all done on Thursday on 8.7 million shares and 507 highs and one low. You hardly ever see that. The reason why this happened was for the following. The short sellers came out of the stock as it moved higher because both ranges are very precise on the weekly chart, and that is the total downside and upside. You add those two together, you have a big move. One of the things we're going to be clear again, 185 down to 148.6. It's roughly $37.5 reversal on a weekly calculation. So, in that weekly breakout, as a counter trend for the bull, that upside to today's closing of 186 also was $38 to the good. That's what we do know. One thing about the SMF market maker is this whole weekly movement also equals $75. So you have the short side and the long side. You add those together. This has been a great trading machine because the total movement round trip is $75, something you would like to learn how to do, and I know it, and so do you. So now what we're going to show is the monthly. But we had a $75, we had a reversal. The combined movement, once again, is $75 to the penny. So here's what happened. The monthly reversal in January to this February low, this is what it looks like on a monthly. $37 down, $38 up. Well, we had a $75 move. Can you imagine having your put options and then having your call options? Baidu has a great calendar monthly move, long and short combined. Now we're going to talk about the monthly expiration. This is a 180 call. First of all, it's a call chart. Most people have never even seen an options chart ever. But they want to, be the one trading them every day and don't even understand what they're getting involved in. And the thing about it is you might get lucky a couple of times, but you're going to get taken to the woodshed. And you know what I'm talking about because this is this call contract today. The low of the contract was $1.60. This is the call chart on Thursday's trading. So the low of this was exactly 305. The high was $9.48. And yes, they were super deflated. So there was an algorithm in the $10 move up today in Baidu because I showed you, and that's how this happened for tomorrow's expiration. Now, that's the 180 call. Look at the 175 call. What a great move. The low of the call, Here you go, 89 cents. How do you like that? If you would have bought a lot of calls and this call was to the upside in the 185, that was out of the money. And the high, 6.47. Today's low, $1.75. The volume traded on these contracts today, 6,200. The open interest prior to today was 9,900 contracts. Now, we are market makers of both the calls and the puts. So when they get mathematically deflated, both of them were. Now watch what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the opposite of the 180 put. So when Baidu went barreling up, the high over here was $16.40. And the puts were making a lot of money because had you bought them, the low was just say $6. There was a $10 move. But here's what happened. From 1640 on the 180 put, when Baidu went screaming up $10 today, these are deflated. So you got a clear snapshot of the low of that 180 put with tomorrow's expiration on Friday. The low was 345. Now, this was at the time and in the money put. But let us not forget that there are some little spot bids up here at 26.54. The moral to the story and the integrity pot is one thing. They manipulate the prices. Take a look at the 185 put today. That was in the money. It got hammered today. And it went from 965 down to 965 down to 550 on the low. So both sides of the calls and puts have been getting hammered. Now, these put options at one time when Baidu was in the downtrend, they were up here at $33. Yeah, for the 185 put, which was in the money from the January part. Now, tomorrow is a monthly expiration. So what we're going to be watching tomorrow for Baidu movement is that we're looking at getting the put options tomorrow because the call options have already had this big breakout bar, and that's how the calls went straight up and the puts went straight down. And tomorrow, with the jobs report coming out, we're going to be trading both sides of the weekly expiration Friday. Here is the Baidu chart. This is the MMT market maker platform, let's say. Now, what we discovered today is many things. When Baidu, and this is just a 3-minute chart, but here's what we're going to show. We're going to take this part of it right here. This was a high frequency algorithmic program used by the supercomputers that do the buy and sell transactions in milliseconds. They got this thing from 175 right up here to 186. That was the distance, and Baidu hasn't traded a $10 breakout forever. The moral and the integrity part of everything is it was a machine. Our part is being able to understand it. So there was a time when Baidu pulled back. So the stock was manipulated in a high frequency algorithm. There was that pullback. Once it made its pullback, that algorithm went right back up here where it dropped like a rock. And we came right back up here. And of course, we closed today right up there toward the high of this bar. And the volume was 30,000 shares in the bar. And I got a 184.27 as far as what the very last print was. However, we can see there was other prints, and the low was 175 and the high was 186, and that was up $10 really on the day, a little bit more. And what we're going to show you is on the options expiration tomorrow, when we go up, it's going to have a hard time to keep going. They already made their money on the calls today. So the puts are deflated. And that means we're going to see some reversals. That means that the distance or the volatility is going to be much wider. So basically, what I want to show once again on the MMT platform is that short that took Baidu down, but then that same electronic supercomputer bot system did those buys and sells in millisecond transactions, took it straight up. And so long and you're short the long over here, you're short over here, you're long over here. It has a great movement. Now, expiration Friday is tomorrow. So therefore, they got out of the calls, and Baidu is right here. You can see when it closed out at 9.59. Baidu has not had an upside move like that all this year. However, it did start out in January and had just the opposite. It had $10 reversals, not just once, but quite a few times, really. You know, sometimes Baidu is going to return to historical trading patterns, and stay tuned for Baidu. So, once again, on the Baidu trade, um, we're going to be looking for how it broke out and got slightly above that top. One of the things that we would like to show you as well, tomorrow we're going to be shorting Baidu, okay, at the right entry. And on this daily right here, this is what happened. So now we've got the counter trend. So get on board because the same distance, both the short and the long are right there.